These days we're overloaded with zombie apocalypse movies and TV series, but one lesser known one stands out to me, not because of its compelling story or big budget. The reason my mind is drawn to the movie called The Girl with All the Gifts is because of one little detail in the movie, something that is only on screen for a couple of minutes, but left a lasting impression in my mind. Firstly, a very simple overview of the movie. Basically, the world is in chaos. The infected, known as hungries, number in the millions. The entire globe has been hit with a parasitic fungus plague, kinda similar to The Last of Us, and small bands of troops and civilians hold out to the best of their ability trying to find a cure. The infected are fast, they're able to jump, climb, and some even have very low level intelligence, making them geniuses compared to standard zombies. They're tough to kill, requiring a headshot to put them down for good, and they can infect with a bite or by being shot and their blood landing in someone's mouth or an open cut, as their bodily fluids carry the infection. But what is special to me about the movie is the so-called Spore Tower. The Spore Tower is a mass of infected that have come together and began to merge into one giant fungal growth. They have climbed and twisted themselves around the BT Tower located in London, though they could use any tall building or kind of skyscraper structure. It's stated in the movie that this happens once the infected reach the mature sexual phase of the fungal infection. Once this part of the fungus infection's life cycle begins, the infected gather in large numbers and then succumb to the fungus, literally using them as compost as the fungus bursts from their bodies and creates vines and roots that twist and reach upwards as high as they can grow, creating, as described in the movie, a forest, but not on the ground, but into the air, thanks to the support of the building they're climbing. And once the spore tower has reached a significant size, it produces sporangiums, also known as seed pods. These seed pods are large, about the size of an Easter egg, but instead of being a nice chocolate treat, they're filled with spores that can spread through the air and infect anyone who inhales them. So this is a major evolutionary step, with the parasitic fungus going from spreading via fluids and touch to airborne. And as Dr. Caldwell says, if the seed pods were to open or rupture, it would be the end of the world. And as these spore towers can be created wherever there is a large concentration of mature infected, you're likely to have a spore tower sprout up in every city or large town. This leads to potentially near infinite amount of airborne spores that will infest the atmosphere and finish off the rest of humanity. Once the parasitic fungus goes fully airborne, it truly would be the end of humanity as we know it, as the air becomes our worst enemy. Even people equipped with protective clothing and respirators will eventually be infected because you're going to run out of air filters, or there will be a tear in your suit or simply a failure in your self-discipline, and a single spore is going to find its way into your lungs and it's all over, and any cuts or punctures of the skin can lead to infection once it's airborne. Even trying to eat or drink would be nearly impossible as the spores float into every nook and cranny on God's green earth. Fortunately for us, the seed pods are a poor design. As Dr. Caldwell mentions, mutants referring to the fungus have to take the good with the bad when it comes to mutations. These spore pods are extremely durable, able to be bashed about, and requiring either massive trauma or intense fires to open them and release the airborne spores. I imagine they're a bit like redwood trees needing fires to help with the reproductive cycle. But the chance of fires catching and engulfing the spore towers is fairly likely. In many places in the world, wildfires are common, and in the ruins of the old world, there are a lot of flammable materials and volatile equipment that's not being maintained, and eventually a fire will happen and a storm of spores will be heading our way. The real fear for me comes with what happens after a mass eruption and the entire globe is covered in airborne parasitic fungus spores. It would lead to the entire human population eventually becoming infected. Even people in bunkers are going to run out of supplies or simply have their air filtration systems fail and the spores will work their way in. And once the last human becomes infected, over time every single one of us will follow the infection's life cycle and become part of a spore tower. Humanity will be extinct. Not a single human left, with all that remains of our civilization being ruined cities and random objects strewn around the world. But the world would go on. Plants and animals that are immune to the fungus will thrive and multiply, and in time maybe another species will become as intelligent as us, and maybe even achieve more. But mankind will not rise anew. Our page in the universe's long history comes to an end. We never reach the stars, or make contact with alien species. We get taken out by a bloody mushroom. And if we compare this to a very similar infection from the Last of Us games and TV series, I think the parasitic fungus from the girl with all the gifts is far more dangerous, simply because of the end-of-life cycle mutation with the Spore Towers. As with The Last of Us, we get some terrifyingly powerful infected. They simply are infected. They can be stopped with big walls and big guns. Also, the airborne infection is very rare in that world, and an organised, well-armed and well-equipped group can thrive if they are, lucky. Sometimes they fall, but we have seen them thrive in The Last of Us. But in the girl with all the gifts, once the Spore Tower erupts, no matter how well stockpiled you are, eventually you're going to succumb to the spores. And just a spoiler alert, I'm going to mention something towards the end of the movie, so you've been warned. So obviously, in the movie The Girl with All the Gifts, there are these hybrid children, which have a mix of kind of humanity and the fungus traits. And they obviously are intelligent, but they also have, immunity to later stages of the fungus, I believe. But still, they are vulnerable to, kind of wanting to attack humans and taste their flesh. They get some of the good and some of the bad. These are not humans anymore. I don't consider them part of the human race. They are mutations, they are hybrids, they are heresy, as we would say. So yeah, when people say, oh, well, humanity will carry on with them, no, it won't. There is not enough of them to carry on humanity. They will very unlikely reproduce in the long run. That's humanity done, which, it is what it is, but I just wanted to clarify that before obviously people start commenting that the hybrids will carry on humanity. I very much doubt that. Anyway, it's quite a good little film. It's not amazing, but it was made on a £4 million budget, which I think is actually really good. If you watch it, it's very well filmed, and they actually stretch that really well. And when you compare it to some of these big budget kind of zombie and infection movies, it's definitely one of the better ones for the money put in. The story's not great, but there's some cool action scenes, and it's set in England, or Britain, as you foreigners would say. So it's nice to see something that's not necessarily just in the US. So definitely check out The Girl with All the Gifts. And tell me what you think. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, guys. And as always, have a beautiful evening.